Hi, this is John Anderson, and you're in Roman's World.
It's from the album Out in the West. Before that, brand new music from Alan Parsons. It's called All Our Yesterdays. Get that from his website. That's how I got it. And we started it off with Oliver Wakeman along with Steve Howe. That's from the re-release of 3 Ages of Magic. That is called Hit and Myth. Well, all right, we have a lot more music on the way, some stuff from Peter Gabriel. I've got more music from Oliver Wakeman coming up, more Celtic music, all kinds of cool stuff. But right now, let's go ahead and check in with John Anderson. This is our conversation about the 30th anniversary of the album 90125. It came out this month. It's November. At this recording, it's November. The album came out November 7th of 83. So we called up John, had a nice conversation. Let's get to it. Okay, once again, we have the privilege of speaking with John Anderson. John's on the line. John, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing very well. It's good to speak with you again. Now, the purpose this time, believe it or not, 90125 is 30 years old.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. 30-year anniversary coming right up here. So the purpose of our conversation today is to talk about that album, just kind of, celebrate its achievements and celebrate the birthday. Now, I know the story of kind of how it came together has been told many, many times, very well documented. And so I think most people know how that happened. But if you don't mind, maybe just like a real quick synopsis of, the beginning and how you became involved in Back in Yes.
Right. I suppose you could say at the beginning of the 80s, I decided that I wasn't really excited about the music or what was happening within the band. The management and the record company were loggerheads about what the band should be creating and stuff. So I took a sojourn and I went down to south of France and did some writing and recording. And then I went to London just for a break, and Chris rang me up and said, listen, I've been working on some music with Trevor Rabin and Trevor Horn and Alan, Tony Kaye. Would you be interested to listen? I said, of course, So he played the music to me, and I was mesmerized by the production. Mm-hmm. I thought the production was really special. Most of the songs were sort of halfway there. They're just choruses needed here, verses needed there. And he said, would I like to get involved and help evolve the piece, the album? Mm-hmm. And I said, of course, if I did that, it'd be yes. What were you going to call the band? He said, well, we were going to call ourselves Cinema. And I said, well, if I sing in it, it's going to sound a little bit like a modern Yes or a new version of Yes because of my voice and your sound and bass and the general atmosphere surrounding the band, so that's what we did. And I went in to the studios with Trevor Horn and Trevor Rabin and really sifted through the tracks and started adding the choruses here and there, verses, especially One of a Lonely Heart didn't really have a verse section that was strong enough, so I just sang ideas with Trevor, and we built that up in a space of about 2 weeks. I really put together the framework of what I could add to the project.
Had you met Trevor Rabin before this?
No. It was really just meeting for the first time when I went in the studio, and I congratulated him on the guitar work he did and the songwriting, and of course we became sort of friends. We didn't really know each other that much. I knew Trevor Horn, the producer, and I was very interested in the work that he'd been doing with The Art of Noise and an album that he did with Malcolm McLaren. I think it was called Duck Rock. I loved samples. Those days were very early in sampling things and using samples as part of the music. It was a very new innovation into music, and I was very into, the progression of ideas in music. So it all seemed to fit very, very comfortably for me.
Trevor once, I think it was a quote where Trevor had said, just generally speaking, he said, if you write a song, there's 2 ways to do it. There's your way and there's the wrong way. And that was kind of how he feels about writing it. But here's a guy that had all these pieces that were almost done, not completely done. And it just seems, as far as a listener's concerned, like he was just completely open to letting you come in and do your thing. And was there any resistance there, or was he pretty open to it from the beginning?
No, I think musically and everything, they come to a sort of roadblock, and that's why Chris asked me would I bring my energy into the album. And, I sang on every track except one, and put my lyrics in there. And of course, when you start looking at it lyrically, there's a lot of strength in the work that I put in, because I come from such a different world in terms of lyrics. I'm always into this positive approach to everything. And I think Trevor was very eager to help the album get finished. I think they've been working on it for quite a long time. And, you know, he'd had that song, Lord of a Lonely Heart, for maybe 2 or 3 years prior to the album being made. And he really wanted it to become a well-known song, which it became. And I was very happy to work with the guys and not really get involved in too much of the who we were. I just wanted to work on the album and do my best.
That was Porcupine Tree. From Lightbulb Sun, that was The Rest Will Flow. Before that, Celtic artist Julie Fowlis. That was from the Live at Perthshire Amber. That was a medley of tunes. It started with the Thatcher, and then Peter Burns, the Soup Dragon, and it ended with Isaac Welcomes the World. Very nice stuff there. And then, of course, we started off with Oliver Wakeman from 2001's The Three Ages of Magic. That was Oliver Wakeman along with Steve Howe. That was called The Storyteller. Three Ages of Magic has been remastered, and there's an extra track on there as well. So that's kind of brand new, older Oliver Wakeman there for you. Let's get back to our conversation with Jon Anderson.
Did you feel at the time, we're talking early 80s now, and it was such a different sound for Yes. Was there ever a point in the process where you felt maybe a little worried how the Yes fans were going to accept it?
No, because in my heart, I just felt, well, this is a stepping stone for me being back in Yes. The next album will be maybe long-form projects that I would love to project into the band. And, of course, over a period of a few years, we toured and did some great shows around the world. And we created a lot of new fans, and I hoped that then we would move on and do something a little bit more extraordinary. And unfortunately, the powers that be that were governing the sort of band in terms of financing the band wanted another hit album, and that's when I sort of went, oops. And then I did an album with Vangelis. I did an album on my own. I did two albums, actually, during the course of Big Generator. So the first instinct was that 90125 was special. It would regenerate Yes into the world. The Yes fans would come because we would play, obviously, songs that we'd written in the 70s, that we weren't going to abandon the creative work that we'd done as a band, So I was very excited about taking that leap of faith with 90125 because it was a very, very well put together album.
Yeah, at the time, too, I mean, the timing of that album, MTV was also getting going. And so that opened the band up to this whole new audience that maybe didn't even know about the earlier stuff.
I agree. And, if you're a fan of the Yes idea, you would follow through with what they were going to try. I remember we did an album called Tormato, which was a pretty interesting album, but it wasn't what I wanted to do, and it just didn't do very well at the box office. Dare I say. It didn't do very well in sales, so there was this sort of problem about what Yes should be doing, I think, towards the end of the 70s. I just wanted to do long-form pieces. I was sort of very involved in that world, and 90125 was exactly the opposite. It was this very instant, powerful, musical soundboard that really very unexpected, and I enjoyed that. I liked that idea. Do something totally different.
I can feel no sense of measure
now. That was Pura Fey. Tune is called Great Grandpa's Banjo. Found that on a various artists CD from back in the 90s, I think. Before that, Incident at Pembroke. That was the song. The name of the band is called Fright Pig. The album was Out of the Barnyard. Absolutely cool album. I just recently started listening to these guys, just kind of stumbled upon them and really digging it. So the name of the band, once again, is Fright Pig. Check them out. All right. Yes, before that, City of Love, Leave It. Of course, we are talking to Jon Anderson about the 30th anniversary of 90125. So let's get back to our conversation with Jon.
In the world now, everything is, you've got thousands of songs in your iTunes, and they just pop up individually. But this one is still one of those that you just like to hear from, as a listener, from beginning all the way to the end in its entirety.
Yeah, I think you make records on many different levels these days. I'm involved in doing that idea as well. You make music here and music there. and you throw it up in the air and you let it fall where it's going to fall. But at the same time, at the back of my mind, I'm always creating a project, and I call it like, you put it on, you go on a journey, and it's an adventure in music. And 90125 was an instant adventure because you never knew what was going to happen on the next track. And it's just one of those wonderful albums.
Of course, Owner of a Lonely Heart, people covering it. It's been in a bunch of movies as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really evolved, because now, later on you're adding the keyboard solo, and now, of course, you're doing it acoustically, and it's like you just can't go wrong. The song, no matter how you arrange it or how you do it, it's just a great song.
Right. I'm doing it with an orchestra in about 2 weeks' time in Clearwater, which is near Tampa. And, I'm going to do it because it's the orchestra love playing it. Young youth orchestras that I've done it with, they love performing it. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You've got to put it together right and make it sound fun. And it's a fun song. Actually, it's the same chords as La Bamba. So I think every hit record is based on the same chords.
Now you've got a couple. Speaking of live shows, I know you've got the Florida show, and then you're going off to Iceland.
Yeah, there's a project in Iceland. I'm working with this guy that I've been in touch with over many years through the internet, and we've written a couple of songs and ideas. We were going to even write an opera at one time. And his band is celebrating their 40th anniversary, and they invited me to come and sing with the band and a small orchestra. And, of course, I said, yeah, I'd love to. And they're going to be doing Awaken, which is a classic Yes album song, Owner of a Lonely Heart. We'll be doing Starship Trooper and State of Independence, the one I sang with Vangelis. And I'll sing a couple of songs that I wrote with them, and I'll sing a couple of songs with my ukulele, and we'll have fun.
And then I guess you're also part of the Progressive Nation at Sea for next year, the cruise. Is that correct?
All right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I do the orchestra at Clearwater before I do that, so I'm 2 months behind. Sorry. In February, I do the show in Clearwater with Alan Parsons. I'm opening up for Alan, and he's got an orchestra. I said, yeah, I'd love to perform there. And then I go down to Miami to maybe do an orchestra project there, and then go on this bus trip on the ocean.
Well, that sounds exciting. I was looking at the lineup of all the bands that are going to be on that cruise. That sounds like incredible fun.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'm going to do some workshops. I'll probably do a couple of solo shows and then sing with the main band and Transatlantic. And they're good guys. I've known them over the years, and we've been in touch. They helped me with a couple of songs that I did about 5 years ago, and I still haven't released them, but they'll come out one day. And we're in touch musically, so we'll have fun. They're excited to do some Yes songs, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find some guys that can pull off Awaken, then that's going to be great.
Oh man, that's what we're going to do in the orchestra show. I'm going to do Awaken, and then in Iceland I'll do it there. I don't know about doing it on the Transatlantic show. We'll see what happens.
Might be too much for them to handle.
It might be just a bit too much.
All right, we'll wrap up our interview with Jon Anderson here in just a little bit. But right now, there's some more Celtic music I want to play for you. One of my favorite bands is...
Now, speaking of some music, I was very excited to hear about some reissues coming out as well. Change We Must is being remastered.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's nice to see that music, surviving. And, of course, I'm still working on new stuff and new music. And, you dream of doing some great things in your life. And that's what I still keep dreaming. Or else I would, like anybody, you'd stop and say, okay, I think I've done everything I'm supposed to do. But no. you keep moving along and trying new ideas and, climbing the mountain.
Also, John and Vangelis' Page of Life is going to be remastered.
Excellent, yeah. I've been in touch with Vangelis, and we're just happy to be in touch with each other. And these albums that I did with Vangelis are unique, and it's very interesting. You go to different parts of the world, and they're very, very well received in Indonesia. They love John and Vangelis. It's amazing. Yeah, working with Vangelis was the opposite to Yes. Yes was very, very constructing music and spending lots of time creating the structure of the music and developing it. Whereas me and Vangelis was totally jazz. It was totally off the wall. We'll just do what happens, and that's how we created our albums.
Any chance of the two of you putting out something new?
You'll be the first person I call.
Well, that would be awesome, John. I tell you, that would. Back to 90125. Is there, I'm sure you've probably been asked this before, but is there like one particular track on there that really has special meaning to you?
Well, on stage, Hold On was one of the really, really powerful pieces that we played on stage, and it was one of those songs, whenever we came to do it on the show, I was more than excited because it had so much power.
I'm Charles, Mr. Alan White. It's great to be with you, dear.
Well, I'd like to thank John Anderson for another fantastic interview. Look forward to speaking with him again. I've just had fun celebrating the 30th anniversary of 90125. Tell you what, there's still one tune from the album that we haven't played yet, so this is how we'll close. We'll go ahead and play the song, and then we'll see you all again next time. Thank you once again for listening. Thank you everyone who has subscribed on iTunes. Check out the Facebook, the website, the whole bit, and like I said, it's just an honor to be able to speak with guys like John Anderson in doing this. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.